The world is turning against Donald Trump, and it's happening faster than you think. Countries that once tried to play nice are now declaring they've had enough. A new world order is rising, and the U.S. is on the losing side. Why does this matter to you? Because it's not just about politics, it's about global power. And if you think it doesn't affect you, think again. Stick around, because the next few minutes will show you what happens when a superpower starts losing its grip on the world. World leaders aren't just talking anymore, they're acting. After years of tension, countries like France, Germany, and Canada have finally made their move. And it's not just about a change of leadership, it's about a complete shift in the balance of power. They're standing up to the United States like never before. Why now? What's different? The answer lies in a simple truth. The U.S. is no longer seen as the global leader it once was, and the world is noticing. The question is, where does this leave you? What happens when the world's most powerful nation begins to fade into the background? French President Emmanuel Macron just delivered a powerful message. To remain free, France must be feared. And that fear, it's aimed directly at the United States. He's not just talking about defense, he's talking about dominance. Macron is already positioning French troops in Greenland, a strategic move that sends a clear signal. The U.S. no longer holds the upper hand, and it's not just talk. Macron's military buildup is already happening. The truth is, the world is changing, and this shift is being driven by one thing: the perception that America is weak. The question is, how long before the U.S. is forced to confront this new reality? Now, let's talk about Canada. You might think of them as the friendly neighbor, but that image is starting to change. Prime Minister Mark Carney has been making moves in China. Big moves. A new world order, he says, is emerging, and it's one where the U.S. is no longer the leader. Carney met with President Xi Jinping, and together they laid out a vision for a new global system, one that's focused on multilateralism, trade partnerships, and a future where America's influence is significantly weaker. This isn't just diplomatic fluff. This is a strategic shift. And if you're watching closely, you'll realize this could signal the end of the U.S. dominance in global affairs. The question now, what happens to America when the countries it once controlled start choosing their own path? While the U.S. stands alone on the global stage, the United Nations Security Council just witnessed a stunning turn of events. The U.S. called an emergency meeting to discuss the escalating crisis in Iran, only to back down completely. President Trump had promised the people of Iran support, but when it came time to act, America retreated. And what happened next? The rest of the world was watching, and they weren't impressed. Countries that once looked to the U.S. for leadership are now questioning its resolve. Even China, normally the target of U.S. criticism, took the stage at the UN to lecture the U.S. about multilateralism and international law. This isn't just a diplomatic setback, it's a complete reversal of the roles we've come to expect on the world stage. The question is, how long can America continue to lead from behind? French President Macron's speech made it clear strength is no longer optional. For France, for Europe, for the world, it's a necessity. In a brutal world, being feared is the only way to stay free, and Macron is backing up his words. The French military is already deploying in Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark, in a move that challenges not just U.S. interests, but the global order itself. This is no longer a matter of defense. It's about asserting control. Macron's speech was more than just rhetoric. It's a signal that France is stepping up in a way that America once did, but now fails to do. This moment marks a pivotal shift. Europe is no longer a passive player. The U.S. may be facing its own irrelevance. So what's next for the world? And what happens if America doesn't wake up to this new reality? As the world continues to shift, the situation escalates. The U.S. thought it could push around smaller nations, but now even longtime allies are taking bold steps. Macron isn't alone in his stance. Across the globe, Canada, France, and China are aligning their interests, while the U.S. finds itself increasingly isolated. The world is no longer waiting for America's approval. It's moving on without it. This wasn't just about a trade deal or military posturing. It's a recalibration of global influence. And the more the U.S. drags its feet, the more it risks being left behind. Now, the real question is, what happens when the superpower of the world suddenly becomes irrelevant? What happens when the power vacuum created by America's retreat is filled by countries who were once too cautious to challenge its dominance? Here's the shocking truth. The consequences of this global shift are already hitting ordinary people. Trade routes are changing, global markets are reshaping, and the economic ripple effects are going to affect you. Whether it's higher prices at the store, a shift in job markets, or new trade alliances that bypass U.S. interests, this new world order has real, direct consequences. While Donald Trump is out there making deals for personal gain, other nations are securing their future, with or without the U.S. This isn't just about politics or power, it's about real lives. And if this trend continues, the American people could feel the effects more than anyone. If this sounds familiar or like something you've already seen happening, drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. So how did we get here? How did we go from a world where the U.S. was the undisputed leader to a world where it's being lectured by China and bypassed by France? The answer lies in the system that allowed this to happen. Power isn't just about military might or economic strength. It's about leverage, alliances, and perception. And right now, the perception is that the U.S. is no longer a reliable leader. Macron's military buildup in Greenland, Carney's pivot to China, and the diplomatic isolation at the UN are all part of a larger mechanism that's eroding America's influence. But here's the thing. This isn't a collapse. It's a transformation. And the real question is, what's the U.S. going to do to respond, if anything? Looking ahead, two possible futures are emerging. On one side, the U.S. could double down, trying to reassert itself through military action and economic pressure, but that path is fraught with danger. The world has changed, and so has the global appetite for American dominance. On the other hand, the U.S. could choose to adapt, shift its foreign policy, and recognize the changing dynamics of global power. But the longer it waits, the more difficult that option becomes. The truth is, the next move is already in motion, and it's happening right now. What's uncertain is how America will react to a world that's increasingly out of its control. Here's the takeaway. The U.S. may have been the world's most powerful nation, but its position is no longer guaranteed. The shift we're witnessing is only the beginning. Nations are no longer waiting for Washington's approval. They're moving forward without it. And in this new world order, what does that mean for the future? One thing's for sure. The world is changing, and if America doesn't adjust quickly, it may find itself out of the conversation altogether. This is just the start of a story that will unfold over years, and you don't want to miss the next chapter. Follow for continued analysis and deeper insights into the future of global power.